Hey everyone, it's Samantha. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to a book recommendations video. I have not made one of these in a really long time. Kind of feels like going back to my roots a little bit, so I am very excited. And I'm also excited because I feel like this video in particular has a lot more variety with the books that I'm going to be recommending to you, because sometimes I feel like my recommendations can become repetitive. I'm recommending the same books over and over again, but having given myself time to kind of read new books has made me get some new recommendations for you guys. The books that I'm going to be recommending in today's video are books that I personally stayed up very, very late to finish, like early hours of the morning. I'm talking the same feeling that reading when we were younger gave us. I know some girlies were Wattpad girlies. Personally, I never was, but I get that feeling because I used to read series from like Barnes & Noble, and I would stay up very late as a child reading just these books that honestly, they weren't the best, and like reading them now, I would probably be like, what? I really liked them back then, and it kind of gave that same feeling of being a Wattpad girly without actually reading Wattpad. I feel like a lot of us are chasing that high from childhood of books that we want to keep us up all night, books that we physically can't put down, and these are some books that did that for me, so I figured I'd share them with you, and hopefully they'll do the same for you. The first two books on the pile, you can probably see what it is, and this will come as no shock to anybody that knows me at all. Literally, if you know me online, if you know me in person, you know my obsession with the Magnolia Parks and Daisy Hates books. Basically, any book in this series, whether it is a Magnolia Parks book or a Daisy Hates book, yeah, it kept me up like all night. I could actually spend 24 hours just reading these books straight. I'm just starting my reread now, and I was reading the first one last night. I literally stayed up until the early hours of the morning, which is insane for me because I feel like a lot of books, I get bored, I get distracted. These books are so full of drama and everything that you could possibly want in a story that it's just, I could literally pull an all-nighter to read these books. I know that these are not books for everybody. I just want to put this disclaimer out because these books have some very interesting tropes in them, such as cheating trope, really toxic relationships. Basically, the entire plot of all of these books has to do with cheating and one relationship that is just super on again, off again. I don't recommend these books to everybody. I even have friends in real life who will text me asking for book recommendations, and everything in me just wants to be like, Magnolia Parks, read that book because it literally changed my life and I'm obsessed with it. But I know that like some of my friends are really not going to be into that. So I feel like they're very subjective, basically is what I'm trying to say. The Housemaid. I think I actually did read this all in one night. I think I started it right as I was trying to like fall asleep, and then I just stayed up for hours and finished the book. This is a thriller, so again, trigger warnings, maybe look them up. I don't remember exactly what was in this book, but I was literally hooked from start to finish. It's becoming a movie with Sydney Sweeney, and I'm so excited for that. I think they're gonna do a really good job. This book is basically about a housemaid who gets hired to be the housemaid for this really rich family, and turns out it is way different than what she anticipated going into the job. I'm not going to really give much more than that because I feel like going into this blind is really fun. There are actually two POVs in this book, and one of the POVs ends halfway through and a different one starts. Very easy to read and very easy to finish. The next two books are Taylor Jenkins Reid books. The only popular one not on her backlist that I haven't read is Carrie Soto is Back, which I definitely want to read soon. But these two in particular were my favorites by her, and I actually did watch Daisy Jones and the Six before I read this book. I do have to say I like the show better, but that could just be because I watched it first. I feel like I liked The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo better than Daisy Jones and the Six, but I recommend both of these. This one, I feel like I would recommend more to people who enjoy music, specifically like the older type of music. This book takes place in the late 60s and follows this band, and it's actually completely written like a news article or an interview, which made it fly by even faster. This one is more about like old Hollywood, and it made me even more fascinated about the lives of celebrities even today. This book also is like half flashbacks of Evelyn Hugo's life and half an interview that is going on to write her memoir. Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez is my favorite romance that I have read this year. I recommend this to literally everybody. I do have to say that it is completely not what I was going into it expecting. I was really expecting like a rom-com type of book, and this gave me so much more. This is such a deep romance. This really explores different things like anxiety and toxic mother-daughter relationship. So just keep that in mind if you want to pick this up. Powerless. This book completely lived up to my expectations. Everybody talks about this book all the time. I recommend this to a lot of people in my life as well. If you like The Hunger Games and Throne of Glass, this is the perfect combination of both because it kind of has like the Hunger Games style arena competition type of thing where they're pretty much fighting to the death. It also takes place in a kingdom with a palace, and there's royalty, and the romance is so good, despite the fact that I don't think they kiss once in this book. So I am very much looking forward to the sequel. I don't want that fact that they don't kiss until like the next book to weigh in on your decision to pick up this book, because even if that like bothers you and annoys you, trust me, the tension is so good, like you're not gonna care. In my opinion. At least I didn't care, and I usually do. The next 3 books are actually all Throne of Glass books. So I put The Assassin's Blade on my list, Throne of Glass on my list, and Tower of Dawn on my list. I know that this is a very unpopular opinion to add Tower of Dawn, but this was my favorite book in the Throne of Glass series. I will take the hate for that. I don't care. Because honestly, I didn't even care that it wasn't following the main character. I absolutely loved the romance in this book, and the change of scenery was exactly what I was needing at that point in the series. So I don't know, these 2 I would recommend to anybody. Obviously I recommend the series to anybody because they all kind of come as a package deal, but specifically The Assassin's Blade and Throne of Glass kept me up all night. Everything about them, like the way that the palace life was kind of shown through the books, and also the really strong female main character. Absolutely love Selena so much, and I recommend these books to anybody who really likes a good fairy tale with a hint of danger. That's what I'll leave you with. The next 2 books are actually from the Caraval series, specifically the first 2, Caraval and Legendary. I would recommend these for anybody who is looking for kind of like a magical world to escape into. It's not really fantasy, it's not really romance necessarily. I mean, there are romance subplots in these books, but you're more so reading this for Caraval itself, which is this giant carnival full of all these magical places and people, and the characters are basically just like going through these trials, almost, very loosely the term trials. They're basically just trying to win the prize at the end. It's very mysterious. There are little letters throughout that are printed into the book, which I appreciate when a book has those kinds of things included. This last book is one that I read very recently and is a continuation of one of my favorite series, the Inheritance Game series. This is actually, I think, it's either the first or second in this like new branch of the series. I don't know the logistics of it necessarily, but I recommend reading all of them anyway because they are some of my favorite books, and I feel like no matter what kind of reader you are, whether you prefer young adult or adult, they are young adult mystery, but I feel like a lot of people will definitely enjoy them. This one, though, completely shocked me, especially after reading The Brothers Hawthorne, which I enjoyed, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't one of my favorites in the series, and I was a little bit concerned to continue on with these next couple of books because of it. I was so pleasantly surprised by this book. The puzzles in this book in particular were just so fascinating. I feel like Jennifer Lynn Barnes is the kind of author that is so smart. I just want to see into her notebook of like how she comes up with this stuff. They are basically trapped in this like lodge type of mansion sort of thing on this deserted island to compete for a lot of money. Kind of are following these couples as they're going through all of the trials and seeing how they get closer to each other, and the couples that want to fight their feelings and the couples that are just like instantly like, yeah, let's be together. And I feel like that would typically annoy me to be like, oh yeah, all of them are just coupling up and pairing off, but it didn't. And I really appreciated the way that she wrote this book. And I also really liked getting to see the original characters come back a little bit and get to explore more of the side characters. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully it gave you a good book recommendation for a book you will want to pull an all-nighter for, that you will stay up until the early hours of the morning reading. I love when a book does that for me, so leave your recommendations down below for a book that did that for you, because I am always looking for more. And also don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.